You saw the exuberance as Jim Harbaugh and the Niners were running off the field. Watch what happens next. There's a quick handshake between Harbaugh.
Hey everybody, welcome to Tuesday Morning Quarterback. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Joe.
And we're talking this morning. Obviously everybody's already seen the footage of the big hullabaloo between Jim Harbaugh and Jim Schwartz after the 49ers' big win yesterday against the Detroit Lions. What do you think about that, Joe?
I think it was really silly, but I do love the fact that this game can bring out so many emotions that two grown men can devolve into children.
Yeah, and the league came out and said there weren't going to be any fines handed down. You think that's the appropriate way to deal with
Yes. Yeah, why? I mean, nobody got hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it's just like on the field, players get into a scuffle, no punches are thrown, no harm, no foul. I think it was a little bit silly, honestly. I think obviously Harbaugh was all worked up and emotional, and he probably didn't bring it down the way he needs to go in for that handshake. But really the biggest offender to me was the fact that Schwartz had to chase the guy halfway to the tunnel. I mean, that was completely out of line, don't you think?
Well, Schwartz probably didn't feel like giving him a phone call. You know
well, yeah, you gotta let it go, man. You gotta let it go. You can't chase somebody to the tunnel. I mean, he turned around and started screaming and cursing and started chasing the guy to the tunnel, and then that's where everything kind of blew up. You got to both be the bigger man and just kind of take off and go the other direction.
Well,
right?
we like to say that.
Yeah, we like to say that, but testosterone gets in the way of that sometimes, doesn't it? All right, the other big news coming out this morning is there's the possibility of a trade being completed from the Bengals of Carson Palmer to the Oakland Raiders.
That's right.
What do you think's going on there?
I think actually the Cincinnati Bengals won out on that deal. They're getting both a first and a second round draft.
I think they get two first round draft.
They get two first round draft
picks? That's what I
saw. That's crazy, because I think the Cincinnati Bengals, I mean, over the next course of the years, they have the potential to be pretty good. I mean, they've got some young talent already kind of working. I mean, Andy Dalton's looking pretty good. Ultimately, I mean, I think they're going to get the better end of the deal.
Absolutely, and I think that it's another example of the Raiders mortgaging the future to pay for the present. They're trying to win now. They think they can make a Super Bowl run now, and they think with Jason Campbell being injured, Carson Palmer's the guy to help them get there. Now, when Carson Palmer can actually start, I don't know. Knowing the Raiders, they probably throw him next week. But I think maybe letting him sit on the sideline, hold a clipboard while Bowler starts a couple of games might be the better plan for them if they really want Palmer to carry them all the way into the playoffs.
Well, I think that, me personally, I think the Raiders are going to throw him in right away, only because the fact that they gave up two.
I don't have a problem if they do that.
Draft
I don't have a problem. It'll be exciting. It'll make that game more exciting. I don't want to watch Kyle Bowler play.
Right.
Who wants to watch that?
Well, maybe
Terrell Pryor. That might be exciting, and he may get some snaps now. Mm-hmm. You never know, right?
Right.
All right. So another team that's maybe making a playoff run is the New York Jets. Obviously, earlier this season, before the season even started, Rex Ryan came out and said that the Jets were this is going to be their Super Bowl year, right? Now they're sitting at 3-3. They had a win last night over the Miami Dolphins. I don't know if you can call that a big win. I don't know if that puts them on track for the playoffs.
Absolutely. You can't call that a big win.
But Rex's bravado, I mean, obviously he's got this huge mouth. Is that good for the team? What do you think?
In my opinion, I don't think it's good for the team, and this is why. I think ultimately the coach sets the identity of the team, and basically kind of Rex Ryan is kind of coming off as a clown, in my opinion. And ultimately, I don't know if the rest of the players, besides Jets fans, Mark Sanchez, kind of clown out there. But ultimately, I don't think it's good. I mean,
I totally agree with everything you're saying, and it definitely sets an identity for the team. But to me, it sets an identity of confidence. We are winners. We're going to win no matter what. And I think for the most part, everybody on the team is kind of living up to that, except for Mark Sanchez. I really don't think he's ready or prepared to live up to that pressure, and he's sort of collapsing underneath it a little bit. And as far as Rex Ryan being a clown, I mean, I think even Rex Ryan would say his intent is to take the focus off of the players. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want the media focused on the players. Now, does that set a precedent for the players to then go out and say things bad against their offensive line and things like that, which is definitely
That's a very good point. I'm glad you bring that up. Yeah.
I don't know necessarily that that's what happens there. I don't think you're talking about apples and oranges, but I can certainly see where, maybe Rex Ryan needs to be more that quietly confident sort of team leader as opposed to throwing everybody out there and saying, we're going to win, and if we don't...
That's actually a really good point that you brought up. I mean, ultimately, would Santonio Holmes said something like that about his offensive line. Basically, Santonio Holmes criticized his line for their two losses, right?
Right.
And ultimately, would he be as open or willing to do that if Rex Ryan wasn't the guy that's...
I don't know, but ultimately, you got to be able to speak your mind, and you're on a team, you really can't be throwing people under the bus. So another team with potential playoff implications is the Philadelphia Eagles. Now they had a big win again this weekend over the Washington Redskins. Do you think that puts them back on track to make the playoffs?
I think so, only because they're in that conference right now. It's so shaky.
The conference is a little up and down.
Yeah, I think really they have an opportunity to get right back into it if they can go on a run. I mean, I remember reading an article earlier this morning talking about basically the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be the team that nobody wants to face at the end of the year. In the sense that either they're going to run the NFC East,
if Vic is healthy. If Vic is healthy. And you know what? I don't think they're going to run the NFC East. I think they're third in the NFC East. I think the Cowboys win the division at 10-6. Go Cowboys! And I think that probably the New York Giants are right behind them at 9-7, and they're going to be the wild card going into the playoffs in the NFC. So I don't think the Eagles are going to make the playoffs. I think there's too much pressure there. I don't think they're using their talent correctly, and I don't think Michael Vick is going to be healthy. I think they're in too big of a hole and they can't make a run. Now, final topic. There's talk this week about potentially having another game next year in London, moving it to 2 games instead of just the 1. And that's, of course, spurred rumors that maybe there's an NFL expansion team in the works for London. I don't think that's really the best idea, but I know you may have a different opinion on it.
I do have a different opinion. I think the National Football League, or football in general, is the best sport. And if the rest of the world wants to share or have their own team, they should be able to as well.
Yeah, I think we have enough problem getting focus on teams that are on the West Coast now without having to try and focus on teams that are all the way, across the pond, as they say. If they're on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, I don't think anybody here cares. People here couldn't even point out London on a map. We don't need a football team.
Yeah, but wait a minute, man. I don't think I've ever had a hard time paying attention to teams on another coast. I mean,
yeah, but we already have teams.
All football.
Let's look at how hard it is for a team to come from the West Coast to the East Coast and win. If it happens, they make a big deal of it. Now we've got to have a team coming from Seattle or San Francisco and going all the way to London to try and play a game. I don't think that's fair, and I think that having an NFL expansion team there is a bad idea.
I think it's like anything. I think it's that's their version of home court advantage. You gotta fly into London to try to win.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Bad idea.
Yeah.
All right, so those are our opinions. This has been Tuesday Morning Quarterback. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Joe.
And we'll see you next week.